everyone, you're welcome to Kharis tutorials. I'm Simeon. Today we'll be doing this wonderful blouse tutorial, and it's called the corset blouse with 3 steps flare. I thought of, what if you don't want your corset dress to be a tube dress, you don't want it to be an off shoulder, what will you do? So I came up with this. We'll be using 2 different fabrics for this tutorial, which are the lace and the Ankara fabric. You can also use any other material for your corset blouse, and I'll be using 2.5 yards of Ankara and a yard of the lace. So you can be using more than that depending on your size anyway. So the measurements we're going to be needing in this tutorial are the underbust measurement. We'll be needing the half length and the full length of our blouse. We'll also be needing the nipple point from the underbust measurement, and you take the measurement of the corset to the left and also to the right. So we'll be needing a lining. Of course, this is a lining, and we'll also be needing a mercury fabric. I use a mercury, or it can be also called a mirror taffeta depending on your location. We'll also be needing a wadding. I use the wadding in the padded area of my half length, and also will be using a BFF. I use the BFF for my flare. So this is what we're going to do today. Let's move on. The first thing we're going to do is to place a lining on each of the flare. So what I'm doing now is, for the 3 steps of my flare, I've cut out the lining. We've done that in the cutting in our previous class. So just place your lining on each of the flare to join. So this is the first step. I'll do the same to the second step and to the third step. The next thing is to notch. I'm going to make sure I notch. After joining, I'll notch, then I'll top stitch on the lining. So whatever I'm doing to the first step of my flare is what I'll repeat to the other 2 steps. Alright, so like I said, we need to top stitch on the lining, and that's what I'm doing. Having done all that, the next thing is to close the sides. Okay, so after joining the sides, you need to turn inside out. So I guess the first, second, and the third flay. The 3 flays are ready now. Just close each side. After turning with lining, you notch and then you top stitch on each of it. Then you close the sides. Remember in our previous class, we added to the middle part of our breast cut. So what I'm going to do now is to sew an 1/2 inch. That's the one we added to it while cutting. So I'm going to run a straight sewing with just 1/2 an inch. That is where my boning will be. I'm going to insert my boning inside this. So I'll just run my straight sewing. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get another fabric of just 1 inch. Then I'll place it on it so as to close the 2 sides. So I'm going to top stitch on it, leaving my 1/2 inch on both sides. Remember to leave the space of 1/2 inch between the joining. Okay, so from here I'm going to bring the 2 sides together to join, one on the left and the other on the right hand side. Also, I'm going to leave the space of 1/2 inch to join. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side as well. To get your appropriate measurements, measure from the nipple point to the left and to the right. So for this measurement, I'll be using 2 inches. You can always measure to know what to cut out. Alright, so I'm going to repeat the same on the other side. So next I'm going to bring out the depth from the middle part, and this can be to your desired measurement. I'm going to measure down 8 inches here. So you can bring it down as low as 7 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches, depending on your choice. So I'll be making use of 8 inches here. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is to fix in our boning. So the 1/2 inch hole that we created while top stitching on the dress is where we're going to attach our boning. So
fixing the boning into the half-inch holes that you created. Alright, we are done with that. The next thing we're going to do now, we're going to place the fabric on our ready-made cup. On this aspect, if you decide to use wadding and not the ready-made cup, of course it will still be okay. So you just need to bring out the excess like a dart, measure from the underbust to the nipple point. You get the excess on the sides, then you pleat. So that's what I'm going to do here as well. Bringing out the excess from the sides of the ready-made cup. So the two notched parts, I'm going to bring it down. That's the nipple point. Then I'll turn back to the other two notched parts. So I'm going to top stitch on it now. And of course I'm going to do the same on the other side of our corset. So in case you have much excess, you can just trim it off. And the next thing I'm going to do from here is to attach this to the space that we created on our main half length. Alright, so starting from the base, that's the down, I'm going to join it round to fill in the space. From here we're going to top stitch round, and I'll repeat the same on the other side. In case you have your under wire, the space here that we're going to top stitch, you can fix in your under wire. Now this is the lining. What we're going to do is to join the linings together. That's the lining for the half length. The next thing we're going to do on this part is to bring out the shape on the main dress and fill in the remaining space from the shoulder to wherever the corset is starting from. Now remember, the measurement we left is 8 inches. That's from the shoulder to the middle point. The depth is 8 inches. But first I'm going to pin it down. Then I'm going to create the shape on our main dress before bringing out the remaining half length measurements. This is the shoulder measurement. So from the shoulder, I'm going to bring it down to the armhole. Next is to get the neck design. The width is 3 inches. Also the depth is 3 inches. And I'm cutting out around shape. So this is how it's going to look like. Alright, so we're going to sew on the main dress, placing the net first, then I'll place the lining on it. So I'm going to start joining. So it's always good to notch. Make sure you notch, then we'll top stitch on the lining. So the next thing I'm going to do is place the lining on the fabric to close the sides. Make sure you're not holding the net together with it. Just the fabric and the lining, just to close the sides. Alright, so this is the front. And I'm going to top stitch now on the fabric. An 1/2 inch measurement is what I'm top stitching. The next thing I'm going to do from here is to place the net, that's the lace fabric, on my Ankara fabric, then the lining on it. The first thing I'm going to do is to close the sides of the net, so I'm just going to fold in the side. Since I won't be turning with the net, so I need to fold it in, and that's what I'm doing, and repeat the same on the other lace fabric. So now I'm going to place the net on the Ankara fabric, then I'll place my lining on it. I'm going to turn it inside. When placing the net, you have to leave some inches on the zip side because of our allowance on the fabric. Since we won't be turning in the net, so you need to leave allowance on the fabric. So notch and also top stitch on the lining, and from here the space that we left on the main fabric is what I'm going to turn in with my lining. Make sure you're not holding the net together with it. Then we'll move to the side as well to turn in the edges. So next thing is to join the shoulder. To do that, just bring the net together to join. The front and the back. So from here we're going to get the shape of our dress. To bring out the body measurement, so just bring the front and the back of the half length first. So bring out the measurement, whatever measurement you have, divided by 2, since we have front and back. The inches left are going to share on both sides. So the bust measurement here is 34 inches. Divided by 2 is 17. If you have excess, let's take for instance you have the excess of 3 inches. That means you're going to measure 1.5 inch on one side, then 1.5 inches on the other side as well. So you repeat the same for the under bust circumference measurements to bring out the shape. And the next thing from here is to attach the flare. We're almost getting there. Alright, so place the first, second and the third flare together, and I'm arranging it now. First I'm going to hold it down before attaching it to the main dress. Alright, so this is what we have. The next thing to do is to fix the zip. Alright, so this dress is coming up. We have the back and also the front joined together. So next is the sleeve, and this is I'm just going to create a design with this full flay that I cut out on the sleeve. So the first thing to do is to turn with my mercury. It can be called mercury or mirror tappeta in your location. So I'm just going to run the sewing, I'll notch and then I'll top stitch, and I'll repeat the same on the other flay. Also, we need to close the sides just like we did in our steps flay. This is the sleeve, and we need to first fold the base, that's the edge of our sleeve. We need to fold it, and that's what we're doing. After that, we'll bring out the round sleeve measurement. The round sleeve measurement is 10 inches. The round sleeve measurement is 10 inches divided by 2 is 5 inches. So just measure 5 inches. That's the round sleeve measurement. So to bring the sleeve together, also the flare, first pin it down from wherever you want it to start. What I did here is notch the middle so that I'll bring the notch part together with the joining on the shoulder. The shoulder joining, I'll bring the notched parts and the shoulder joining together. Then from there, pin it down before fixing the sleeve. So this is how it's going to look like, and I'm going to do the same to the other side. Just bring the two notched parts together. We're almost getting to the end of our sewing. So after this now, the last thing to do is to fold in the neck. So to do that, I'm going to cut out a straight material just to get to form a bias. Then I'll tape it round. So turning from the outside, I'm going to run it on the from the outside and fold it inside. That's the neck, and that's the last thing to do on our blouse. It's an interesting class and a bit stressful though, but the end result is good, it's beautiful, so it's worth the stress anyway. So I'm sure by now you can make a corset blouse for yourself to rock to the party, rock to church, and you'll be proud of yourself. So if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Africa TV.
I still remain Simeon Grace. You can follow us on Facebook, on Instagram at Africa TV. And you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram at Kharis Kreations. Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment box below. Click on the notification so as to get notifications for our upcoming tutorials. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel, Africa TV. Till I see you in the next class. Stay cool.